Hey guys, and welcome back to Playtech TV. Today we're going to be looking at a brand new router from ASUS, which is actually a business level router designed for startups and small to medium businesses called the BRT AC-828. Now, if you're wondering why we're reviewing this, seeing how it's kind of like a commercial product, it's because it actually fills a kind of interesting niche in the high-end enthusiast as well. So it is great for business owners, but it's also great for hardcore power users who have, really intense home setups, who have a lot of wired devices or have really high bandwidth requirements. So first of all, let's have a quick montage and see what comes in the box with the unit. So now that we know what's in the box, I want to take you through a tour of some of the main features of it so that we can kind of get to the heart of why it's a business router and what sort of separates it from a normal home router. So first of all, the thing that everybody wants to know, what is the wireless performance like? So in terms of range, it's bound to cover any, any home for sure. I mean, unless you've got something really weird going on, like lots of concrete or something like that, then you're bound to have pretty good coverage with this router. And I would be very surprised if you didn't have full coverage in your home or business. It's always a hard thing to try and accurately judge what the Wi-Fi signal is going to be like in an end user's home. So I usually don't like to make predictions like that, but it's safe to say that this is well above your general home router and is a super powerful router that should not give you any issues with wireless range. Now, secondly, you actually have dual WAN ports on this. So you don't just have one internet connection, you can actually have two. So you can actually run it so that you've got a single connection that when it fails, it drops onto the second connection, which is great for redundancy. If you've got a business that needs to be up 24/7, then that's absolutely perfect. But what we really like it for is that you can actually aggregate those two connections together and actually go from having a single 1 gig connection with failover, you can actually jump to having two 1 gig connections and aggregate them together and make a single 2 gigabit connection to your external network, to the internet. So that is just ridiculous speed, and that's just something that you just can't really get on a home router. Granted, you're going to have to pushing it pretty hard to really make use of that 2 gig connection, but it's something pretty cool. I mean, I remember back when we were talking about maxing out ADSL connections, so the time will come. Now, number 3, it actually has an M.2 storage slot in there, so you can actually plug in one of those little M.2 SSDs that you see on new motherboards and things like that in order to create a little mini NAS that is super fast, so you can share files across it and things like that. Number 4, we can also create a captive portal for guests. So that means that if you've got a free Wi-Fi service in your business or, even in your home for guests, essentially you can create a login portal that your guests have to log into in order to use that free Wi-Fi. So that means you don't have to give like a password out all the time or do anything like that. You can essentially ask them to sign in and sign a little terms and agreements sort of thing, a usage policy, and then you can actually, once they've signed in through that, then you can actually bump them onto whichever page you like. So for business, this is great. You can actually brand your login page and then you can bump them onto your business's website or another landing page once they actually sign in. So if you're going to be giving away free internet, you may as well get some little bit of marketing value or something like that in return for that. This feature is actually great for things like cafes and that, where you've got a lot of the public wanting to use your Wi-Fi. It's just a hassle to have to like put out a password or tell everyone what the password is all the time. Number 5, you actually have 8 LAN ports on this guy. So normal routers only have 4 LAN ports, which can be a limitation in a lot of senses, because then if you want more LAN ports, you have to use a switch, which essentially is just going to be carving up the bandwidth of the one port that it's plugged into. So essentially we've got 8 ports here, so great for users of heavy wired connections all over the house or things like that. It means you don't have to add an additional switch and then carve up the bandwidth of that port. But Also, it means you can aggregate multiple ports on the back of the router. So instead of having 4 individual 1 gig connections on the back of it, we can actually team them together and have a single 4 gig connection going across 4 cables from one device to another. So that is really good for those power users, again, who are just absolutely thrashing that internal bandwidth. So once again, another feature that you're not really going to find on a home router, but for those power users is actually going to be pretty awesome. Now, number 6 is multi-user connectivity. Now, I've gone into MU-MIMO in the past, MU-MIMO they sometimes call it. I'll drop a link to a video where I talked a little bit about that. But essentially what it means is that you can have so many different users all going in, coming out, all at the same time, and you can actually max that out. So this router actually maxes that out, so you get 250 connections simultaneously. So there is no way, even on like a super expensive enterprise router, that you could actually get more users on a single router. You would literally have to add more routers to get more powerful and more connections going than this guy right here. So it's absolutely great for high density environments where you've got just tons and tons of users all connecting to the same device. Now, number 7 is the security features of this router. So a lot of home routers have some basic security, but you'll all agree that they're often left lacking, especially in a corporate or business environment. Now, ASUS actually teamed up with Trend Micro to work on their AI protection suite. So that's actually a really good start. It means that they're working with someone who really understands the modern security threats and how to block intruders from your network and things like that. Essentially, your router can function as a hardware firewall, which will actually block intruders and outside threats from accessing your network. But if there is already a compromised user on the network or some kind of threat inside, then the actual router will send you an automatic notification saying that something suspicious is going on, and you can choose how you want to proceed with that, whether you want to block the user or actually go and visit the person in person and have a look at their machine and see what's going on there. And of course, if you're in an environment with lots of users, you might want to segment those users into different groups. Once you've got people into groups, you can set individual access levels to sensitive content for that particular group. And you can also funnel each individual group through different VPNs of your choosing. So you can have one group going through to a different country for whatever reason, and one group going through another. Now, this is a great thing for businesses that are concerned about what the ISP or government or whatever might think of what they're doing. And I'm not just meaning, people doing criminal stuff, but as we've seen lately all around the world, it's not just North Korea that want to spy on your internet usage or anything like that. We've seen net neutrality and cybersecurity become a huge issue in the UK and around the world as well. So that's about all for today, guys. I really like this new router. It is actually one really chunky little beast of a router, to be honest. ASUS have always made good stuff in the past, so I was really happy to give it a go and check it out, and I'm happy to say that it sticks with their usual reputation for quality. It's probably the most robust router that I've seen that you can really buy off the shelf in a store these days. But anyway, that's all for today, guys. I will see you next time on Playtech TV. If there's anything you'd like to see me review, just let me know and I'll have a look into it.